Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Kurt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at kurtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
And welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast. This is your host, of course, Kurt Mercadante. And yes, I am very happy you are here. Every single day I wake up with gratitude for the thousands of people who download and listen to this podcast every month. We're growing each and every month. We're kind of a young podcast, started in February, and we have grown consistently every single month. And so I want to thank you, whether this is your first time listening or your 81st time listening. And please don't be shy about a couple things. One is leaving a positive review or rating for us wherever you're listening, on iTunes especially. That helps us. And also to share and tell your friends, your family, colleagues about us, anyone who you think would benefit from our message of freedom and fulfillment. And as I record this, I'm actually recording this on Monday, September 10th. It's going to air, if you're listening to this today, Tuesday, September 11th. But I'm getting ready to board a plane to Michigan, where I'm giving a speech to some human resources professionals up there. But our week, yesterday was spent doing some hurricane prep. Because as I record this, there is I'm not sure how far, maybe 900 miles, 800 miles offshore, a hurricane named Florence that's forming. And here in Charleston, South Carolina, all the way up to Virginia, we're watching that closely. You know, we don't know where the track is going to take it. They're saying it could hit it as a 4, could cause major damage. We don't know yet. But the reason I bring this up is in the past here on this podcast, you've heard me talk about getting a mindset to live a radically outcomes-focused life. And that is setting the outcome you want for your life vision, then working backwards, setting yearly outcomes, monthly, weekly, daily outcomes, and letting those outcomes drive your day instead of bullshit inputs that you may set that take up 80% of your day, not actually moving you forward toward your outcomes. And so I bring this up in regards to the hurricane because, a few years ago when we first moved to South Carolina, we were just glued to the TV, glued to the internet for like 10 days before the storm even hit. Where's it going to go? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Panicking. Are we going to lose the house? Where are we going to go? And the news media, they want you to do that. Gosh, our local newspaper here, we have some meteorologists here who are just very preaching caution. They don't want to have too much concern. And my goodness, the headlines in some of the local newspaper articles, they're trying to sell newspapers, trying to get us to panic a little bit, to read them, of course. So we buy the products from the people who are advertising in their pages. But I digress. And a few years ago, I let that happen because I wasn't leading a radically outcomes-focused life. My mindset wasn't where it needs to be. And so we've taken some hurricane precautions over the past year, and our house is pretty, we've done what we can do with our house. And so it was down yesterday. There's just 3 things we can do. One, I got up early in the morning with my daughter and we went and filled up our gas cans with ethanol-free gas for our generator. So that's set if we lose power. And then we had a tree person, I don't know what you call arborist, come and take down a huge dead tree. And if you go to LinkedIn, you can see the tree falling. It's huge. I mean, it shook my soul when it fell. That thing would have taken out 3/4 of our house. So that was step 2. Took care of the tree, took care of the gas. Step 3 is we're just going to look at the track. We're going to see if it's going to hit, where it's going to hit, and if we have to evacuate, we'll determine a destination. Literally, those are the only 3 things that we can do to control it. I can't control the storm. I can't control the intensity. I can't control the track. I can't control the government and when and if they're going to do an evacuation order. I can't control any of that. And if I sit and I'm glued to TV, if I'm glued to social media, I get panicked. I'm wasting time. I'm wasting energy. I am the gatekeeper of my mind. And if I let that shit in, it is going to waste my time and waste my energy. So there's no usefulness in that wasted effort, that panic. And so I work on this with my clients. Listen, when you set your outcomes, for every outcome, there's going to be a challenge, there's going to be an opportunity. But when you look at those challenges, separate them into things you can control and the things you can't control. I could go out on my back deck, look out at the water, shake my fist at the sky and Mother Nature and say, damn you for sending this storm my way. What does that do? Not a damn thing. And the fact is, this week, this month, this year, I have some big objectives, some big outcomes I want to hit. I'm flying to Michigan later today to give a speech. Later this week, I'm supposed to have a LinkedIn local event here in Charleston. Later this month, I'm supposed to go to Cairo, Egypt to speak. That's just this month. I have big outcomes. And no matter what happens with this storm, if this storm comes ashore and destroys my house, I'm still going to get those outcomes done. They are still guiding me, because when you lead a radically outcomes-focused life, you don't take your eye off the destination, that summit at the top of the mountain. A hurricane may come and push you off your path, but if you are so focused on those outcomes and not bullshit process and bullshit inputs and bullshit energy and panic that we have that can easily seep into our minds with any single challenge, hurricane or some other challenge, but when you're radically focused, outcomes focused, you get back on that path and you keep marching forward. So yes, we may have to evacuate later this week, and you know what? We'll come back. We'll clean up if we need to clean up. But I'm not going to let it stop me from achieving the outcomes that I want to achieve. It'd be easier for me just to curl up and say, the hurricane's coming. I got to cancel all my speaking engagements. I have to rewrite all my outcomes. That'd be really easy to do. And I know a lot of people who did it. And a few years ago, that's exactly what I did. But I'm not doing that anymore. And it's not bravado. I'm not being flippant about hurricanes. It's just the mindset I have now. I'm sick of making myself sick about things I cannot control. So I don't care what it is in your life. There's going to be a challenge. Some challenges you can't control. I can't control a storm. What I can control is how I respond to the storm, how I prepare for the storm. Because each of us are going to have storms in our lives. Storms that are going to hit. Storms that you can prepare for. Storms that may come out of the blue. Look at the things as the storm approaches, as the storm hits, that you can do, that you can control. Because yes, life does throw us storms. It's how we react to it that we can control. And when I talk about, I have my course, I have my retreat, Power and Purpose, and I talk about reclaiming power. And some people will message me and say, well, only God has power over our lives. 100% agree. I'm a man of faith. I agree with that. If you don't agree with it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have had a trigger warning at the beginning of this podcast. You can tune out now. Yes, God has power over our lives. But we should have power over the things we can control. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about living a life of power and a life of purpose. Have power over the things we can control. Take action on the things we can control. Because the things we can't control are going to happen anyways. There's nothing we can do about it. So this storm is coming this week. It may hit. It may not. We may have to evacuate. We may not. It may destroy my house. It may not. Those are things we can't control. What I can control is the 3 big outcomes that I needed to do to deal with it. And you know what? I feel great. I'm heading to Michigan today. I'm planning on my event on Thursday. I'm planning on my event later this month. I have new clients I'm onboarding. I'm focused on that. Because whatever else happens, it's going to happen. So if you want to build a mindset where you're focused on outcomes instead of the bullshit inputs that come our way every day that cause us to waste time, that cause us to waste energy on worry, on panic, send me a message. Because that's the type of mindset I'm helping my clients to cultivate each and every day. This has been the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Mercadante. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.